Hey guys, so lately I've been thinking a lot about the concept of pain. Pain is something that we're all familiar with to some extent physical, emotional, psychological, and so on. Um, one might even say, as humans, being familiar with pain is part of what encapsulates the human experience. Very often, though, I start to wonder what's the what's the value in this pain, what's the value in the fact that we're experiencing all sorts of suffering and strife and agony on various levels for various issues. And I've had this conversation with friends of mine, brothers, teachers, all sorts of people, even just strangers, really, on the value of suffering. And very often I get a variation of without suffering, there will be no good. Without pain, there would be no good. Without pain, there wouldn't be any enjoyment of beauty, of peace, of the mundane, of intellectualism, and all of that. And it's left me confused because, yes, that does address productive pain, but it doesn't address the mundane, little, meaningless pain we see, the meaningless pain we ourselves might experience, or the pain of people and creatures who aren't us, for instance. Um, there are people that were born into a life of pain. No preamble, no build up, no easing into the situation. They were just born into it. And it's very hard to understand how this pain makes them feel better, how it makes them be better. It's hard for me to understand how a baby born with, say, a cancer grows up and experiences pain to a deep level and dies at the age of 2. Sure, maybe it benefits the parents, but it makes them stronger. But I've also seen the research that says I love divorces arise as a result of the death of a child, so it's still very traumatic. Nothing good came out of that pain. It just was meaningless. And that's actually what I want to speak about, the concept that pain is going to be meaningful. I don't believe pain is always meaningful. I don't believe pain always carries a benefit. There are a lot of painful situations, starvation, hunger, isolation, heartbreak that never end well. I see something of survivor's bias here because very often we've been able to draw from the benefits of our pain. We extrapolate this to mean all sorts of pain comes with a side of benefit that we would not be able to see if we didn't experience this pain otherwise. But that's just because we have survived. There are people who've gone through pain and haven't survived. It's broken them, it's broken their families, their organisms. I say organisms because I include animals. When an animal is hunted in the jungle by, say, a lion, it experiences pain, but no real meaning to it. It just ends up being someone else's food. There might be meaning to the lion who's eating the antelope or the gazelle, but to the gazelle, there was no real meaning. He lost his life. Um, so it's often very hard to contextualize this. And a part of me seems to go on to realize that it's hard for people to incorporate the existence of pain with whatever they believe the world to be. If you believe the world to be deliberate about you, karma, it still doesn't explain the existence of pain because there has to have been a first instance of it. And it's difficult incorporating that into whatever worldview you believe in at any point in time. Ultimately, I feel what gives pain meaning is consciousness. It's consciousness and cogent thoughts. As humans, we are graced with the ability to draw connections and make connections even where there aren't any. There might not be any inherent meaning to pain. That's my argument. Pain doesn't have any inherent meaning. But our ability as human beings to make conscious, congent thoughts allows us to create alternative interpretations and realities that end up carrying the meaning we imbue in them. It still doesn't exist why pain, explain why pain exists, but it sort of explains how we could see meaning in it. It addresses how we could see a situation that is deadly, a situation with people suffering, a situation with people experiencing all kinds of tyranny and starvation, and they could hold their ground until they see a light at the end of the tunnel. We add such meaning to it. I watched a clip not so long ago. It's this lady, she was tagged a demotivational speaker, but she said something very profound. She said, just because you're in pain or you're suffering doesn't mean you'll make it. It doesn't mean you will see some profound revelation. It doesn't mean there is a meaning ascribed by some orderly power out there. It doesn't mean there is some value to this pain. I don't see any evidence of that or any scholarly research I've looked into that have seemed to strongly suggest the existence of a higher power permitting us to feel pain just to get better and get stronger. Well, in summary, I guess what I'm saying is there is no real value to pain. Pain causes damage. Pain causes death, causes agony and suffering. The only real meaning to pain is cause we choose to ascribe it with meaning due to the fact that we're human beings with conscious thoughts and we can be empathetic and thoughtful and interpret things in ways that might not exist, but once we lay them all together, they hold meaning of some kind. Thank you for watching.